Caitlin Clark. Making her fourth All-Star appearance and leading the league in steals.
Caitlin Clark said just 6 words, and everyone in basketball stopped to listen. Was it a mistake, or did she plan it? Either way, it reminded everyone that she's the one people really care about. Social media went crazy. People started talking about it differently. The WNBA usually controls what people say, but now they were watching a superstar change everything. This isn't just drama, it's about being smart and powerful. And this is just the start. Let's go back to July 2025 in Indianapolis. The WNBA All-Star Weekend was supposed to be a big party for women's basketball.
Ready for the culmination of what has been a wonderful celebration all weekend long.
Gainbridge Fieldhouse was filled with almost 17,000 fans cheering loudly. Everyone was excited, and the best players were all there to play an amazing game. But under all the fun and excitement, something was happening that would be in the news for weeks. Before the game, the players planned something important together. They all wore black shirts during warm-ups that said, "Pay us what you owe us." This wasn't just about clothes, they were standing up for what's right. The WNBA's contract was ending in October, and the players wanted to be paid fairly. Right now, WNBA players only get about 9% of the money the league makes. NBA players get 50% way more. Many of these women have to play basketball in other countries during the off-season just to pay their bills. Their message was clear, everyone agreed on it, and it needed to be said. But then Kelsey Plum said something that changed everything. Plum plays for the Los Angeles Sparks and is a vice president of the Women's National Basketball Players Association.
The expiration of the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement and tensions are running high.
She was sitting at a press conference after the game next to New York Liberty star Sabrina Ionescu. Cameras were recording, reporters were listening, and Plum decided to say something that nobody wanted to hear. When she talked about the protest shirts, she said the players decided on them that morning in a meeting. Then she added, and you know, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Kelsey Plum to the Sparks. This was the first trade in the league history, and Kelsey Plum heads to LA with the 9th overall pick.
The room got quiet for a second. Sabrina, sitting right beside her, couldn't hide how she felt. She rolled her eyes and said sarcastically, "That really needed to be mentioned."
You know, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Even right then, you could see that Ionescu felt uncomfortable. She knew exactly what Plum had just done, and it wasn't good. What was supposed to be a moment where players celebrated working together and asking for fair pay had just been ruined by what seemed like a mean comment about the league's biggest star.
We had a very,
that really needed to be mentioned.
Caitlin Clark, who wasn't even there that day. Now, here's why this matters. Caitlin Clark wasn't at the meeting, and she didn't play in the All-Star game because she was hurt. She had injured her groin in mid-July and was at home resting and getting better.
The brightest stars in the game, Caitlin Clark going toe-to-toe with the biggest women's basketball stars.
Saying that she didn't care about fighting for players' rights or didn't support other athletes was wrong and mean. Clark had helped make way more people pay attention to the WNBA than ever before. Since she started playing, way more people were watching on TV. People were buying tons of merchandise. Ticket prices went up. The cost to start a new team jumped from $50 million to $250 million almost instantly. She was the main reason the league could ask for better pay in the first place.
Caitlin Clark will miss tonight's Fever game against the Sparks with a groin issue.
Here comes Clark. This is one thing you get with Clark: great speed and great passes. Found Boston perfectly.
Here comes Clark. This is one thing you get with Clark is great pace and great passes. Found Boston perfectly.
But there was Plum, in front of everyone who loves basketball, saying that Clark and her team didn't really care about the cause. People got angry fast. Social media exploded. Fans called Plum jealous, petty, and dumb. Sports commentators talked about it, with Colin Cowherd making fun of Plum for attacking the one player who changed the WNBA from budget airlines to private jets. The numbers show what happened. Since Clark started playing, TV ratings went up. Merchandise is selling like crazy. Ticket prices are going up fast.
WNBA is out with new TV viewership numbers. It's been the most watched in the league's history.
and the cost to start a new team skyrocketed from $50 million to $250 million almost overnight. She's the league's biggest weapon when asking for better pay. But Plum chose to publicly attack the WNBA's most valuable player. Caitlin Clark stayed completely silent. No tweet, no statement, not a single word defending herself. While the internet went crazy defending her, and people wrote articles about older players being jealous of rookies, Clark just kept doing her thing. She let all the noise happen around her while she stayed perfectly, smartly quiet. This wasn't being weak, it was smart power. Clark understood something Plum didn't. Sometimes the best answer is no answer at all. Sometimes you let your success speak for you. And when the right moment comes, when the perfect chance shows up, that's when you make your move. This is like chess, not checkers. Clark was planning 3 steps ahead while everyone else was still figuring things out.
Decades, the best get-ahead passer, and her three-point shot.
Fans defended her online, experts talked about Plum's comment, and social media was filled with angry people. But Clark focused on what mattered, getting better, preparing, and building her success one step at a time. Responding right away would have made her look defensive. It would have made the criticism seem true and made Plum's words more important. So she waited. She let the backlash do the work. She let other people tell the story. Colin Cowherd made fun of Plum on national TV. Social media ripped apart the idea of attacking the league's biggest star. Sabrina Ionescu's eye roll became the viral video that everyone remembered. And then exactly when the right moment came, Clark acted. It happened just one day later. Kelsey Plum posted on Instagram celebrating All-Star Weekend with a simple caption, "What a weekend," with photos of her smiling with teammates at Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. But Clark noticed something. Plum missed a huge Nike logo in the background. Plum isn't sponsored by Nike.
Wall Street Journal reports the basketball superstar is about to sign a Nike endorsement deal worth $28 million.
She switched to Under Armour in 2022 and got her own WNBA shoe colors. Clark, on the other hand, is Nike royalty in the league with a multi-million-dollar deal. The Wall Street Journal says the basketball superstar is about to sign a Nike deal worth $28 million. She wasn't going to let that mistake go unnoticed. Her response was 6 words, "Thank you for the Nike ad." No exclamation points, no emojis, nothing aggressive, just a super sharp, perfectly timed comment said with the calm confidence of someone who knows she's powerful. The internet went crazy. Screenshots were everywhere. Fans called it petty. Others called it genius. Sports blogs and podcasts talked about it from every angle. In 6 words, Clark had reminded everyone of her influence, her brand power, and how well she understands the business side of basketball, something Plum, even after years in the league, had missed. The brilliance was in the layers. On the surface, it was playful and ironic, but deeper down, it was strategic, a subtle but clear reminder of Clark's position as the league's most marketable star. Plum had accidentally given her the perfect setup, and Clark delivered a knockout punch. It was precise, smart, and playful. It wasn't personal, just devastatingly effective. Clark didn't need to list her achievements, ratings, impact, or money she brought in. The 6 words did it for her. Plum went silent. No comeback, no explanation, no defense. Weeks went by, and the story kept going while the internet analyzed every detail. Plum knew she'd been beaten. Any response would only make things worse. And in that moment, Caitlin Clark reminded the world who truly has the power in women's basketball. Not through words, press conferences, or interviews, but through timing, strategy, and presence. Clark wasn't just a player on the court, she was a masterclass in influence and control. She showed that being dominant in the WNBA isn't only about points, assists, or highlight videos. It's about understanding the moment, reading the room, and knowing when to strike, and just as importantly, when to stay silent. With 6 simple words, Clark proved that the future of the league isn't just about athletic skill. It's about intelligence, poise, and unshakable command of both the game and the culture around it. Caitlin Clark didn't just respond, she reminded everyone that in this era of women's basketball, power is earned, timing is everything, and sometimes silence speaks louder than any statement. It wasn't until mid-August, almost a month later, that Plum finally talked about it publicly. She appeared on Sue Bird's podcast called Bird's Eye View, and took back her comments in what can only be described as damage control.
Caitlin Clark, one of the most dynamic players in the country.
I honestly was like, hey, Team Clark, they didn't make it to the meeting either. Just making a joke, trying to make the room lighter. I was making a joke that they were hungover, even though our team nickname was Hungover. So I was like, at least we made it. She went on to say she regretted that her comment took attention away from the real issue, player pay, in the upcoming contract negotiations. She said all the players were united, everyone wore the shirts, and she never meant for it to become a story about Caitlin Clark versus the veterans. What this whole situation showed goes way beyond two players exchanging subtle jabs on social media. It exposed the complicated issues happening in the WNBA right now, a league growing like never before, mostly thanks to one player's huge popularity. While veteran athletes who've been working hard in the shadows for years watch everything change around them. Make no mistake, the growth is real, and it's transformative. Before Caitlin Clark arrived, the WNBA was struggling with viewership numbers that made primetime games feel unimportant. Arenas were half empty. Media coverage was minimal. The league was losing about $40 million every year. Despite the incredible talent, then Clark showed up and everything changed almost overnight. TV ratings doubled, tripled, and sometimes quadrupled. Her Indiana Fever games became must-watch events. Merchandise with her name and number sold out faster than stores could restock. Ticket prices surged.
Oh, I made a bad joke.
Yeah.
I made a really bad joke. Tough one.
Suddenly, casual sports fans who'd never watched a WNBA game in their lives were tuning in to see what the hype was about. Expansion fees shot up to $250 million as investors saw real profit potential for the first time in the league's 28-year history. For veterans like Kelsey Plum, who'd won 2 WNBA championships with the Las Vegas Aces and put in years of elite-level work, this shift had to be hard to watch. Plum is an incredible player herself, averaging over 20 points per game for the Sparks. She's a former #1 overall pick who's been an all-star multiple times.
Caitlin Clark in town. More than $2 million in tickets were sold. That's an all-time WNBA record.
Team USA in international competition. She's worked really hard to earn everything she's achieved. But even with all that success, she's never gotten the same attention and money-making chances that Clark got right from the start. That's not Clark's fault, it's just how star power and timing work. Some athletes become so popular they're bigger than their sport. Clark is one of them. It makes sense that older players might feel upset when a new player shows up and suddenly gets more attention and money than everyone else. But they can't blame the person who's actually helping everyone. Here's the truth some people don't want to say. When Caitlin Clark succeeds, everyone succeeds. The more people watch because of her, the better TV deals all players will get. The more of her jerseys that sell, the more money the league makes. The more attention she brings to women's basketball, the more young girls will want to play. This means better players and a stronger league in the future. Clark isn't taking anything away from the veteran players. She's creating new opportunities that weren't there before. Every WNBA player benefits from having her around, whether they admit it or not. Higher salaries, better travel, nicer facilities, all of this is possible because the league is finally making money like never before. And Clark's impact is a huge reason why. The WNBA needs Caitlin Clark. It also needs Kelsey Plum, Sabrina Ionescu, Aja Wilson, Breanna Stewart, and every other talented player who makes the games exciting to watch. The best outcome is when all these players realize they're stronger as a team. Clark's star power helps create chances for everyone, and sticking together matters way more than egos or hurt feelings. The pay is what you owe US campaign was important and needed. The players absolutely deserve better pay, better travel, better resources, and a bigger share of the money they bring in. But that message gets confusing when players publicly criticize the league's biggest star for missing a meeting while she was injured. Caitlin Clark has handled this situation really well. She's been respectful to veteran players and thanks the legends who made it possible for her to play. She's been a good teammate with the Fever, passing the ball, celebrating when her teammates do well, and not making everything about herself. She's used her fame to support all of women's basketball, not just herself. When people criticize her, she either stays quiet or makes gentle jokes instead of fighting back. This shows she understands that her success depends on the whole league doing well, not just her own performance. She wins when the WNBA wins. She loses when the league looks mean or divided. So she acts in ways that lift everyone up, even when it would be easy to fire back harder. Her 6-word Nike comment was probably the closest she's come to throwing shade, but even that was playful, not mean. It was like a friendly celebrity joke that got people talking without hurting anyone's feelings. It reminded everyone how popular she is without saying she's better than other players.
A four-time WNBA All-Star, making her Olympic debut.
It showed confidence without being cocky or rude. It ended the argument so perfectly that any response from Plum would have looked defensive or mean. That's expert-level social media skills, the kind that makes people forget she's only been a pro for one season. She acts like someone who's been famous and dealing with public attention for decades, when really she's still learning how to handle this new level of fame. Looking ahead, the Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Plum situation will be one of the most interesting stories to watch in the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark, which one is
WNBA players?
Do you feel right now you're the best player in women's college basketball?
Will it turn into a real rivalry with respect, the kind that makes both players better and creates exciting games that fans love to watch? Or will it stay awkward and tense like it's been so far? The answer depends on how both players choose to handle it moving forward. If Plum can get past her frustration and see Clark as a teammate rather than an enemy, they could have a really positive relationship where two great guards push each other to improve. If Clark keeps handling criticism with grace and humor while letting her playing do the talking, she'll keep winning over people who want to see her fail. And if both players focus on basketball instead of social media fights or press drama, everyone wins. Games between the Indiana Fever and Los Angeles Sparks will definitely be must-watch TV now.
Kelsey had a big game. Team had a big, dominating game over Caitlin's.
Fans will be glued to their screens, wondering if there's extra fire when these two play each other. Will Plum defend Clark super aggressively like she did in the All-Star game? Will Clark try extra hard to score big against Plum specifically, making her point on the court instead of through Instagram comments? Or will both players handle it professionally, treating it like any other game, while the media and fans desperately look for drama that isn't really there? The truth is, both players are too smart and too focused on winning to let this mess up their seasons. Clark's trying to lead the Fever to the playoffs and prove she's not just good in the regular season. Plum's trying to help rebuild the Sparks into championship winners after leaving Vegas. Neither can let personal feelings get in the way of team success. What makes this so interesting is that we're watching a big change happen right now. The older players are being forced to share the spotlight with a new star who showed up with more hype, more money, and more attention than anyone before her. That's uncomfortable and creates natural tension. But it also creates a chance for growth for the league and for individual players. If handled right, this could become one of those legendary rivalries people remember for decades. Bird versus Magic, Jordan versus everybody, LeBron versus the world. Clark versus Plum could be the rivalry that defines this era of women's basketball, the competition that pushes both players to greatness while giving fans exciting stories to follow season after season. Or it could fade away completely, becoming just another forgotten social media drama that seemed important at the time but didn't really matter. What happens next will make the difference how these two elite athletes choose to write the next part of this story. 6 words change the conversation, but the question is, how will the WNBA adapt to a world where one player can grab attention, shape stories, and redefine power, real time? Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball.